Hey guys, so today I want to actually talk about some of the bad habits that typically setters, sometimes even closers have when it comes to just either jumping in brand new or even sometimes they're jumping from one offer to the other. Because you see, there's some offers that are like, hey, we wanted to do X style, and then you have another, it's like we wanted to do Y style. So there's some things that I found while doing some of the interviews as well that not everybody does, but at the same time, it's very helpful to make sure we're all kind of on the same page of why this doesn't work. So the first thing I want to talk about is convincing. A lot of times what I'll hear, and I'll hear this mostly from cold callers that are trying to get into appointment setting, is they're on the phone, they're trying to give you the benefits and the features, like, hey, this is why you need us. We have these really cool things, great community, all these amazing things. Now, there's no problem with telling them the value you have, especially if it's part of the package, the coaching, the whatever it is service you do. But that's later down the road, and you don't want to list them off as just like you're listing off a checklist. Okay, you don't want to do that. What you actually want to do is just have them talk. I know, weird concept. Just have them talk and tell them what your problems are. Now, when they tell you what the problem is of what they're having, connect it to where you want them to go. So if they're having troubles creating something, but the mentorship goes into more specifics, connect the two pieces together. It's like, okay, so in your brain, don't say it out loud yet. In your brain, it's like, okay, so the mentorship can help you to get more specific with creation, the creation process, or it can help more with the marketing, or it can help more with whatever. You keep that in your mental note or write it down that that's something that you can eventually use. Now, after you get through some of the pain points, you get the budget, the authority, and their time and the needs as well, part of BANT, you're going to transition into basically what you can do for them. Okay. And this is where you're going to be also dealing with that handoff to the closer of saying, hey, I got somebody for you. Okay. Now, let's say they're not fully ready yet. Still, at the end of the call, you do want them to at least be on board with the fact that they're willing and able to move forward with what you're trying to get them into, whether it's a coaching, a mentorship, a course, whatever it is. But then you connect specifically the pain point with specifically the value. Okay. So that way they can see the connection and you're not just spouting off a whole bunch of nonsense that they kind of don't care about. Too many times I'll see mostly the cold callers, I'll see this or telemarketer callers that are trying to get into appointment setting. They will have a very bad habit of this, that they will just try to spit out all the information and say, hey, does this stick? That doesn't work in high ticket space just because of the fact they're more educated most of the time. And they're not going to have really issues with that as far as like, trying to just push something on. They'll actually more be like, okay, no, I'm good. I'll look somewhere else. So you could have not only lost a sale, but they may never come back as well. This also goes into the point of what I call over talking. And it is a thing where you talk so much that you actually end up having no point. Or if you do, it takes a long time to get there. Anytime that you do like your questions, anytime that you do like even like a little elevator pitch, okay, it's short, sweet, to the point, especially with questions. If you try to put questions in together that are like two or three at a time, you're only going to get one answer, and typically it's the last question that you just asked. Why? It's the most recent in their brain. Yeah, so you're not going to get all your answers. The other thing is that when you start talking too much, they think telemarketer. So what's going to happen? They're going to stop listening. And then they're going to try to find every way to get off the phone without being rude, or some won't care and just hang up anyway. Okay. So make sure that when you are doing these questions and you are making a point, it is making a point. Okay. It's not over talking, over explaining. Over fluffing is also another term for it, where you're trying to buffer it so then that way you try not to get negative results with it. So just clear and concise questions that get the conversation moving forward. Okay. And last but not least, pushy, 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 pushy. Some people that I have talked to, all my interviews, this is mostly for the newer people that haven't been in the high ticket space very recently. They've done maybe more retail, sometimes maybe door to door, but I haven't seen a lot with door to door. But definitely telemarketing, cold calls, where they end up getting a little pushy. They get a little pushy of basically, why not? Why aren't you going to do this? Do this. Like, you should do this. Why shouldn't you do this? And there's okay with being a difference between persistent, though, and pushy. Persistent is where it's just like, okay, so we're going to dig one layer in to figure out what's that root cause. Like if they say it's too much money, well, why is it too much money? Right? But we're not going to push them to put too much out of their pocket if really the reason why is because they could, not pay their bills. Right? We don't want to do that. So don't expect to just keep pushing, 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 pushing. What you want to do is dig deeper into that. Why is this an issue? Why is this a pain point? Why is this an objection? Like, I got to think about it with my spouse. I know someone that I talked to, they just said more about the program and would you do it? And then they would go, well, then why won't you just move forward? That's no, you can't just push them into it. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it where they go through anyway. But the part that you're missing is then the deposit type of thing. Well, it's like, okay, so if everything lines up, they agree with it, they think this is going to be a great opportunity. What's going to happen if they say no, right? Are you going to keep going or are you going to not? And is there anything that you would feel comfortable putting down now to secure your spot while you still go talk with your husband about it? Make sure if you offer that dough, it is refundable. Or if it's not, let them know as well. Because then that'll create a bad customer experience, which then even if they get their approval, they're not going to do it. So just a few things that I wanted to let you guys kind of aware of on some of the things that I've been seeing, especially with some of the newer people. Most of the time, if you're just, going through and doing BANT, having a conversation, this probably won't be a problem, except for maybe the over talking. Because normally when you get nervous, that's just kind of what you do. So be clear and concise. Don't worry about convincing them because at the end of the day, they're going to convince you that they actually need it. And don't be too pushy with the sale because then you look like every other salesperson and they're not going to listen to you anyway. So let me know if this was helpful. If you have any other additional topics you would like me to talk about and to help you to grow into your skill set. And let's go ahead and crush it, guys.